protests, as per the Constitution, must be peaceful and must be undertaken by people who are unarmed. What we saw last week were riots. They were not protests. People armed with all manner of weapons, threatening the police, beating up citizens, burning shops. That is not what is allowed in the Constitution. That is criminal. That is an act of terrorism against citizens of this country. And we have a duty and a responsibility to deal with it firmly, decisively, conclusively. Let me also tell every police officer who wakes up early, puts their lives on the line to be able to secure our children, our families, and our nation, that as you do that, we will equally, and we are equally obligated to make sure that we secure your families, your children, and yourself. And the government of Kenya, and myself as president, I will make sure that in the discharge of your duties, every security officer is equally secured by the people of Kenya. We cannot have a country where criminals are running after police officers, where police officers are fleeing because their lives are in danger. If the life of a police officer is in danger, then whose life is safe? The moment we allow the life of a police officer who is supposed to secure our children and our families to be in danger, then our children and families and nation is not safe. Let's just put it that way. And therefore, we have a responsibility and an obligation to make sure that those who secure our families, children, and nation are secure themselves. Yes, you cannot secure others if you are not safe. And for our men and women in uniform to be safe, we must give them the equipment for them to be safe so that they can secure our nation, our families, our properties, and our children. Officers, I want to tell you, it is our responsibility as a nation. It is my responsibility as president to make sure that you are safe, your families are safe, so that you can secure and make our country safe. And that I will do, and I will go out of my way. I am going to stand for every man and woman in uniform who is doing the duty of securing our families, children, and nation. I will be there to make sure that they are not threatened, that they are safe, their children are safe, and their families are safe. Because that is the only way they can in turn secure our nation, our families, and our children. And I will mobilize every resource of government to make sure that this nation is safe. I want to ask citizens, if you threaten the police, if you harm the police who are supposed to provide security for you and your families and your children, you are actually setting up yourself for failure, because once you do not have security provided by the state, then gangs are going to take over. Instead of the rule of law, we will have the rule of something else. For us to have a secure nation, we must first secure the people who provide security for us. They must be safe. There is no way a person who is under siege, a person who is threatened, a person who is insecure and unsafe, there is no way they can secure anybody or make any place safe. We will have a conversation with the judiciary and all the other actors, members of parliament. I think it is time we have a law that will regulate how we carry out demonstrations in Kenya. We must protect the right of those who want to demonstrate, picket, and protest. But equally, we must also protect the right of those who don't want to participate in the demonstration. They want to go about their business, they want to go to work, they want to do their, they want to carry out their other responsibilities. There must be room for everybody. And as has been suggested, we must have places like what happens globally. You know, protests cannot be in other people's businesses. Protests cannot be in schools or places where people are doing other things. We must have designated areas with time, place, and those organizing. And those organizing protests must be decent enough to provide whatever it is that is at issue so that it can be attended to. So I am sure Parliament is going to provide the legislation for us to make sure that all the provisions of the Constitution are respected, those of protesters and those who, the people who are not protesters. Designated areas so that there is no destruction of people's property, there is no loss of life because it is not necessary. We have a nation with great potential. Kenya is a wonderful nation. It is our responsibility to make this nation great. And I have no doubt in my mind, challenges notwithstanding, I have no doubt in my mind that this nation is going to change for the better and we are going to move this country to the next level. I am determined and I am persuaded that Kenya is going to change for the better. We have a societal issue. We have a challenge that we will attend to as parents, as leaders, religious, political, and all other leaders. The challenge we have with our children is a challenge that cannot be sorted out by government. It cannot be sorted out by police. It has to be a whole of society engagement. We have to get a whole of society engagement so that we can deal with the societal problem we have. It cannot be business as usual. If 80 police vehicles have been burnt, when tens of police stations have been burnt, uniforms stolen, firearms stolen, it cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual. We have to agree that things must change. For us, as government, for the security agencies, and for citizens as well. We are going to change the way we do business so that we can have a nation to live in.
And I'm saying this with all humility. I cannot order an Inspector General of Police on anything because the Constitution denies me to do so. And I did not order the Inspector General or any police officer to carry out any extrajudicial anywhere. Your Excellency, what I did was to state the law. And as a lawyer, I have studied, read this law, and I understand what the law says. And what I told the police officers is, if you will not find me anywhere where I said somebody should be shot to be killed, you will not find me anywhere where I said that a police officer should take orders from myself. No. I restated the law and reminded them what the law says. And for the benefit of those, Your Excellency, who have been speaking out there, I want to read for them the National Police Service Act, Section 61(2), and Schedule, particularly Schedule 6B1. Your Excellency is very clear on the use of firearm. And I want to read it verbatim. It says, Your Excellency, that firearms may only be used when less extreme means are inadequate and for the following purposes. 1, saving or protecting the life of the officer or other persons. 2, in self-defense or in defense of other persons against the imminent threat of life or serious injury. C, protection of life and property through justifiable use of force. D, preventing a person charged with a felony from escaping lawful custody. 5, or E, preventing a person who attempts to rescue or rescue a person charged with felony from escaping lawful custody. Your Excellency, I'm not the one who wrote the law. The law says a police officer, when faced with a situation of a threat of his life, must be able to use the firearm. When a police officer is attacked or a police station is burned, no church leader will speak. No foreign envoy will speak. These so-called opposition leaders will speak. If all these people do not speak, and I am the cabinet secretary in charge of these police officers, and I am a lawyer, and I don't speak for them, who will? Who will do that? I have, as a cabinet secretary, to lead from the front. Some people don't know the life that police officers go through. Yesterday, when we were with the police officers who were going to the border, do people know how much they put their life in the line for them to fight Al-Shabaab, sleeping in Boni Forest, around the borders of this country, putting their lives to save citizens in the country? And then it has become so fashionable for all of us to close our ears. And particularly when sometimes police stations are banned, people think, it is police, forget about it. But when you go, if you go to Kikuyu now, where I went 2 days, we went with the IG and the PS and the team, we found that the entire Kikuyu law courts were banned. Everything, exhibits, people's title deeds that were deposited in the court, documents, of all kind, were raised down, and the court was completely banned, Your Excellency. And I don't know what the relationship between the court and the maandamano. So nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. And we are requesting our judges, as they make the decisions they make. Unfortunately, we do not have the luxury, if the country bans, that they do have, to sit down and make the decisions they make. If the country bans, nobody will be spared. Not a politician, not a cabinet secretary, not a judge, not a police officer. We need there is a feeling that the judiciary is leaving the safety of the country to executive. And then they do their things as they wish. It is time that we have a conversation in what the Deputy President has always talked about what is national interest. And what is that brings us together as all arms of government. When Parliament was invaded last year, I think message became clear to the members of Parliament about what is happening. I think judiciary needs now to come in so that we can work together, three arms of government, to protect our nation. If we have to switch off media sources to save media and to save the citizens, we will do it, because we want to save our country from burning. We want to save them from irresponsible journalism. But we also request the media, if they are going to regulate themselves, nobody is going to bother, because we have been accused, we have been criticized. We are not averse to criticism. The only thing we want to tell them is that in the security sector, these men and women here helping you, Your Excellency, to deal with security, they don't have the luxury, Your Excellency, to debate. At that moment, critical moment for our country, the first thing they want to see is first their country becomes safe. Nobody here, including the IG, would like to go into the book of history that the country burned when they were holding office. Not us, not the IG, not everybody here. At that moment, we can go and debate with media. They can call us for interviews. We can debate with the judiciary when we know that the country is safe. The first call of duty for everybody sitting here is the safety of the country first, before we can debate on other issues.
You must realize that you are the leaders. There is no other leader that you are going to be looking up to in support of what you do. You have officers who are below you, and they look up to you to be able to do the right thing, to be able to guide them, to be able to direct them. And the officers who work below you never get an opportunity to listen to the president like you do. And it is our expectation that when you get back to your stations, to the counties, to the regions, you are able to properly engage and steer them.